Some of them have very, very broad support throughout the body. Reishi, one that you just mentioned, is a mushroom that has been found to support practically every system within our body. There's
Wow.
peer-reviewed research that shows it can support brain and neurological health, respiratory health, cardiovascular health, liver support, digestive system support, and support of our stress response, all from the utilization of the one single mushroom itself.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Healthy Habit Podcast, your favorite health podcast, located right inside Healthy Habit Health Foods. I'm your host, Dr. Dayon of Healthy Habit Medical Center, and welcome to episode 182. 182. We got Mr. Richard Cividanes here back with us here today, folks, National Science Educator at Host Defense Mushrooms, who has over 25 years involvement with the natural products industry. His experience includes working as a staff member in health food stores and natural food co-ops in New York and Washington State. Richard is part of the family who founded Topical BioMedics and developed the award-winning homeopathic topical brand Topricin. That's Topricin. He was their brand manager and educator for 15 years, where he regularly traveled the country educating thousands of retail staff and medical professionals on the benefits of homeopathy Topricin. And I'm excited to welcome Richard back. If you're a first-time listener to the show, I highly recommend going to our YouTube channel or our Spotify channel there and just type in Richard, and all of our past shows will pop up there, like episode 155, where we talked all things host defense, the long history of mushrooms on the earth, the role of mushrooms in human GI health, and much more, like the Mycobotanicals microbiome powder. Really good episode, and that's 155 plus many others. Richard, welcome back.
Nice to be with you again, Doctor. Good day.
So it looks like you're recovering from a little bit something there after Thanksgiving, and this show was recorded here about mid-second week of December, but we'll be airing it the first quarter there of 2025. So what were some foundational mushrooms that were part of your routine whenever you're not feeling well?
Yeah, and thanks. Yeah, definitely feeling better now. Last week was one of those lost weeks. It felt like, my daughter started us off with a little respiratory, virus of some kind,
Mm.
and usually I'm an individual who uses the same mushrooms pretty regularly. I'm a big fan of like reishi, cordyceps, chaga. I use those heavily. As soon as I started not feeling well, I pivoted into using our My Community liquid extract, along with a couple of grams of our turkey tail powder and some of our agarikon capsules as well. And, even though I wasn't feeling good for a few days, I had 2 days where I was definitely down, but after that, I was back. And then I went into that clearance phase where I was feeling better energetically, and then just helping to clear out my respiratory system. So it was a moment of slowing down.
But he's
That's
back now, feeling better, and he's here with
back
us.
now,
So thank you, Richard.
of
And so for
course.
those of you who don't know, Host Defense Mushrooms has been in the game here for decades. One of the top organic mushroom companies here in the United States and North America, really, and globally. You guys ship all over the world. And tell us, what are some of the top misconceptions people have about technically they're called functional mushrooms, different from what you guys would buy like shiitake at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, the button mushrooms. What are some top misconceptions that people bring to your attention a lot?
Yeah, thanks, Doctor. Yeah, and we have been the company Fungi Perfecti that produces the Host Defense brand of mushroom supplements has been around now for going into our 45th year. We are
Wow.
owned and operated by one of the leading mycological voices here in North America. He's a mycologist by the name of Paul Stamets. He's the sole owner of the business. So we really know mushrooms and mycology, right? This has been his life's work, and his life's research. And one of the big misconceptions that we're challenged with very regularly is the idea of what is an actual mushroom.
Right.
There are many different different facets of these organisms. We have the mushroom fruit body, which is the most visible and identifiable portion of these organisms. It's what you're going to see coming out of your lawn, or when you're walking in a forest, coming off of a tree, or in the forest duff. The mushroom mycelium, which is really what we consider the living body of the organism, is much harder to find. The mycelium in its environments is literally like a neurological network within nature. It is infusing habitats. It is everywhere in our forest ecosystems, and it is an information sharing membrane that is in constant molecular communication with its environment. The mycelium has this capacity to devise really diverse enzymatic and chemical responses to a whole range of challenges and processes that it's involved with on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis. The mushroom mycelium is what literally produces the mushroom fruit bodies when it is time for the organism to begin its reproductive cycle. So at Host Defense, we use both sides of this organism. We are very mycelium forward. We use mushroom mycelium across all of our products. And then we also grow mushroom fruit bodies of a number of beneficial mushroom species, and we do hot water and alcohol extractions of those mushroom fruit bodies, and those are part of our liquid extract line within the Host Defense product line itself. So the biggest misconception we get is that sometimes people say, oh, well, the mycelium isn't really the mushroom, the fruit body is the mushroom, and it's mostly because we're still helping to educate people
Right.
on this dynamic type of organism that these species are. The mycelium is what lives and abides in the ecosystems for long periods of time. Most of the fruit bodies are quite transient in nature. They come and go in a few weeks to a number of years. And they are, again, built directly out of that information sharing membrane of the mycelium. The mycelium laminates
Yeah.
and glues its cells together in order to build the structure of the fruit body, which again is what's being used to increase the reproductive capacity of the organism itself. So that's the biggest issue that we are regularly educating individuals on, is what is the capacity. Now, when we pivot into the research on mushroom fruit bodies as well as mushroom mycelium, we see decades of peer-reviewed research across numerous countries, different university research laboratories, all pointing in the same direction. The fruit bodies and the mushroom mycelium contain compounds that can significantly support a person's health and wellness when used with consistency.
Yeah, they just picture that in the photo behind you there at the bottom left. It would be like that cap on the mushroom. They just picture that's all it is that's being used, right? But there's that whole underground network, that mycelium you're referring to, where
Exactly.
right.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and that mycelium, unless you know what you're looking for, it's really hard to find because of where it exists in the ecosystems. It's in the soil systems. And the mycelium, again, it's composed of this membrane of interweaving, continuously branching chains of cells. It's only one single cell wall thick anywhere within within that membrane itself. And so you'll find that if you're walking in a forest or in your yard and you have a log that's been laying down for a long period of time, if you roll that log over, the white cottony substance that you'll see in that space between the soil and the log, that is the mushroom mycelium. But it is infusing everywhere in the ecosystems. The estimates that I have seen in some of the research is that, like, if you're in a healthy ecosystem, underneath every footstep you take within the top 3 to 5 inches of soil, there are somewhere between 200 and 400 miles of mushroom
Wow.
mycelium existing just in that small area. So it really does have this capacity to help tie the ecosystem together, so to speak, by interacting with all of the other plant species and tree species that happen to exist in that same area.
Fascinating. Yeah, we can spend 2 hours just on that whole process right there. So, what would
Definitely.
you say for a beginner? And we're not here to provide any medical advice. You're the national educator here for Host Defense and the mushroom world. We're trying to just help people understand these things better. Which mushroom product would you recommend as a starting point for just general health? Someone that's brand new to mushrooms, of course, always work with your doctor. Run it if you have one. Run it by them. Make sure they're okay with it as well. But as just a general starting, I know there's the Stamets 7, which has a lot of good research behind it. What would you recommend as a good starting point for
Yeah,
general health?
you read my mind there with the Stamets 7. You know, if we're looking at our product line, there is some really interesting research that points to the direction that when we're using multiple mushroom species in combination, they have an opportunity to have a synergistic amplification of their actions because each species contains its own unique compounds that our body can utilize to support our immune system and other body systems. The Stamets 7, which you made mention of, is that's named after Paul Stamets. And as the name suggests, it is seven different beneficial mushroom species, all in equal proportions. All seven of the species in that formula will help to support your immune system in a variety of ways. But then all seven of those mushrooms also have research that shows that they can support multiple systems within the body. So we have this opportunity to not only be supporting our immune health, but with that one formula, you're going to get multiple mushrooms that are going to support brain and neurological health, multiple mushrooms that will support respiratory health and cardiovascular health. Almost all of them have been found in research to support our digestive system or our probiotic microbiome. There's multiple mushrooms in there that will support the liver and its functionalities. And two of those mushrooms in Stamets 7, reishi and cordyceps, are both also considered to be adaptogenic substances, which help to support our body's relationship to stress. So that what we consider Stamets 7 to be our daily, like everyday whole body and immune support formula. Now, at the beginning of our talk here, I mentioned that when I wasn't feeling well, I started using our My Community formula. That's what I kind of consider that to be like our big gun, if you will, allow that that metaphor there.
Uh
It is this the
huh.
My Community has 17 different mushroom species that we grow in the mycelial stage. They're all in a variety of different serving sizes. But the research that we have done on My Community with an independent immunological laboratory showed that it can significantly support the engagement of our immune system, but it also really, really powerfully helps our immune system clear and pacify its activity, which is what we want to have happen. We want the immune system to engage into action, but we also want it to be able to move from that engagement back into that clearance and pacification side of the immune response gracefully. And that's what the cell culture studies that we've done on My Community points to. So that's the formula I consider. You save that one for when you really want your immune system, starting to get really powered up and working for you in a significant way. So now, as soon as I started feeling better, I shifted back away from our My Community formula and I started utilizing the regular mushroom species I do. I saved that one and like our agarikon mushroom, which again is another phenomenal immune supporting species. I save those for when I really need my immune system doing some heavy lifting for me.
Right. You did mention you took the standalone agarikon capsules as well.
I did. I did the
Yeah,
My Community extract and then our turkey tail powder and agarikon capsules. That was my
that's big.
trifecta for the days I wasn't feeling well. Yeah.
The big three.
The big three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my original question is for a beginner new to the mushroom world. This is all brand new to them. This might be a good starting point. Keyword might be do your own research as a good two to start filling up your first aid kit or your medicine cabinet with the Stamets 7 for just daily preventative health maintenance to get all these different benefits, not only for the immune system, but like you said, liver, energy, stress, potential cardiovascular support as well. But then we have the My Community line as well with 17 different mushrooms, including all seven that are in the Stamets 7, right?
That's correct. Yes, all seven are in the Stamets 7, and then 10 additional
Okay.
species are grown and blended into that one formula.
And this is straight from hostdefense.com, folks. You can head over there now, hostdefense, all one word, .com, and you can just search their Stamets 7 or the My Community line there as well. Tell us a little bit about Royal Sun Blazei. I don't know too much about this one. It's in both the My Community and in the Stamets 7, and it's clearly important if Paul chose to include it into the big 7 here. So, and that's
Yeah.
sixth on the list here down in the ingredient label. well, actually, it's number one if you look at the actual supplement facts, but here in this particular photo, it's six on the list there under maitake. Tell us a bit about Royal Sun Blazei mushroom.
Sure. So that's I'm a more newly identified species. I believe it
Okay.
was identified at first in the country of Brazil.
I don't know anything
When
about this one, so yeah.
identified it in Brazil, they sent the mushroom to Japan to have research done on it. And the research was so profound that it became one of the most popular beneficial mushroom species in the country of Japan.
Hmm.
It is an edible species that it is you can use it to cook with, but the research on it shows that it can significantly, and I'm going to emphasize that word, significantly support our immune system in a variety of ways. If you were to go to like your search engine, like scholar.google, and put
Yeah.
that term in, Royal Sun Blazei, sometimes it goes by another binomial, Agaricus blazei, you'll find, or Agaricus brasiliensis, excuse me, you will find a range of published research that shows some significant immune supporting activity of that mushroom. So it was really an interesting concept. You know, it got sent to Japan for research. They saw the research and were like, "Oh my goodness, this is amazing!" And Japanese individuals began utilizing that mushroom to support their health. And now it's used pretty heavily between Brazil and Japan, and obviously here too in the United States. You know, it's in two of our formulas in the Stamets 7 and the My Community.
Thank you, Richard. And if you folks, if you look at the Stamets 7, it's equal parts of all seven of these functional mushrooms, 143 milligrams per each one there, the Royal Sun Blazei, cordyceps, and down the line here, even a mesima, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right,
Yes, Massima, yes.
mesima mushroom, or Felinus linteus. Sound like Harry Potter names, the botanical names of these. 143 milligrams equal parts, whereas in the My Community, it's split up a little bit more from like split gill polypore, 12 milligrams, all the way up to 148 milligrams on chaga. So I want to do a small little deep dive here on chaga, or
Yeah.
Ionotus obliquus mycelium here. That's at the very top of the list, chosen at the most amounts here in the My Community at 148 milligrams. So why is that? That's clearly an important mushroom if it was chosen to be number one on the top of the list here. Tell us about chaga a little bit more and why it's at the very top.
Yeah, sure. And chaga is a very important mushroom species. It's one of the more deeply researched of the beneficial mushroom species. It's a mushroom that has a very, very long historical arc of use that goes back into the depths of history. It's a mushroom that is oftentimes misidentified in nature as a fruit body.
Yeah.
But what we call it when it's growing wild, it's known as a chaga sclerotia or a chaga conch. You'll find those oftentimes expressing off of birch or beech trees. That conch or sclerotia is not a fruit body. It's actually aged, hardened mushroom mycelium that has begun to grow out of the tree that the chaga has parasitized. Now, chaga in the research has been shown to have an absolutely phenomenal supportive antioxidant activity. It's one of our most deeply antioxidant supportive natural substances that we have identified. And antioxidant activity is really important for helping to protect cell membranes, and a range of other mechanisms within our bodies. It also is a mushroom that has a very unique capacity to support epithelial cells in our body. And epithelial cells are the type of cell structure that help to build and create the boundaries of our body. So a lot of epithelial cells in our skin, there's epithelial cells in our airways and in our respiratory tract and in our digestive system. And chaga has been found to support the immune activity in these very important boundary barrier tissues, which are first line contact barriers for when we are being invaded by something. So the chaga mushroom, again, decades of research on this species, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years of traditional use, all pointing to its capacity to support respiratory health, digestive system health, and the immune responsiveness that happens in these important barrier tissues of our system.
And they've known this in traditional Chinese medicine and just in general Asian medicine for hundreds, thousands of years on how mushrooms aren't just for the immune system, and you've mentioned that throughout this last 20 minutes or so. So do a quick highlight on that just to remind everyone. Mushrooms like this, reishi, lion's mane, turkey tail, even chaga, it's not just for immunity support, correct, Richard?
That is very correct, doctor. And what's one of the really interesting and exciting aspects of these organisms is their multifaceted ability to support our bodies. In the research in beneficial mushrooms, every one of them has been found to support our immune response. Even the ones that are not usually, focused in that way. So, for instance, like lion's mane.
Right.
Lion's mane today is known very, very well to significantly support brain and neurological health, cognitive functioning, memory. It does a great role in supporting our digestive system health as well. It will also moderately support the immune response. So you're getting this additional support, even if you're using it because you want to support memory and cognitive functioning, you're getting this additional immune system support by using the mushroom. And this is what we find across the species. Some of them have very, very broad support throughout the body. Reishi, one that you just mentioned, is a mushroom that has been found to support practically every system within our body. There's
Wow.
peer-reviewed research that shows it can support brain and neurological health, respiratory health, cardiovascular health, liver support, digestive system support, and support of our stress response, all from the utilization of the one single mushroom itself. So that's the one of the things that's so attractive to me about these organisms is that you get this multi-layered, multi-organ support by utilizing a single mushroom. And when you start stacking a few mushrooms together in formulas or using
Right.
standalones together, now you're just amplifying those potential actions within the body. And they have this wonderful safety history to them as well. Again, we have used them as a species for thousands of years, and many of these beneficial species are also considered edible. Like in that My Community formula, you have lion's mane. That's an edible mushroom. You can cook it for your dinner. Shiitake, oyster mushroom, inokatake. These are all mushroom species that you can find in many, many health food stores and farmers markets today that you can add to your meals. They are also considered beneficial because of the way that they have a capacity to support our body systems and our immune response. So the safety that's associated with the mushrooms, it's profound. You mentioned earlier that it's important for a person to check with their doctor or pharmacist before using something, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's very
Yeah.
important, especially if you're on any type of medications. You check with your pharmacist to make sure that there's no contraindications. The wonderful thing about mushrooms is that there are very few contraindications that have been found with them in relation to pharmaceutical meds, but still
Mm.
always really important to check with your pharmacist first. They can look at the database and tell you if there's any information there about contraindications. But the safety it's absolutely excellent when it comes to these organisms and utilizing them on a regular basis to support our body.
Amazing. Yeah. So can you share a practical tip, Richard, for someone who's trying to choose between a capsule, powder, or extract form of a functional mushroom product? We know Host Defense has all those available, tinctures. They have capsule versions. They have powders through the microbiome powder through the mycobotanical line. Tell us about that. How do we go about choosing that?
Sure. Well, first thing is that we wanted people to have choice because each individual has different needs and requirements, right? Some people abhor taking capsules or they're already taking too many pills and capsules, so they don't want to think about having to add more. Some people are really attracted to liquid extracts because of the way that they can so quickly assimilate into our body. So just to break it down for you, our capsules and our powder is the same material. It is our mushroom mycelium of the species or the species that is grown to maturity, custom dried, heat activated to make it bioavailable to our digestive system, and then it's ground very finely, right? And then it's either put into a capsule or it's put into our powder canister.
Right.
Now, the powders are far more economical than the capsules. Just as a for instance, like one 30-day supply of reishi capsules at 1 gram a day is the same cost as 66 days, 1.5 gram a day servings
Oh
of the
wow.
reishi. So you get much more material in the powder. The powder especially the mycelium only powders, are very neutral in their flavor. You can mix them into any kind of beverage, water, juice, tea, coffee. You can mix them into foods. You can sprinkle them into your morning cereal, oatmeal. We have people who regularly add them into their eggs when they scramble their eggs and they
Oh,
cook them,
okay.
and then they consume the mushroom material right along with the food that they're producing. Now, our liquid extracts are very different from the capsules and the powders. The liquid extracts are water and alcohol extractions of the fresh mushroom mycelium and the fermented rice that has been fermented by the growth of the mycelium. This is the way we grow our mushroom mycelium, is on cooked organic brown rice. As the mycelium grows through the rice, it's releasing digestive enzymes to consume the rice, and that release of enzymes ferments the rice and converts and changes compounds in the rice into more
Wow.
immunologically active compounds. So when we do water and alcohol extractions of the mycelium and that fermented rice, and then across many of the liquid extracts, we also do hot water and alcohol extractions of the dried fruit body of the species as well. And then those are all combined into the one single extract. Now, the liquid extracts, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to assimilate into the body much faster than the powders will, because the extracts don't have to go through the entire digestive system
Right.
before they get absorbed. So if you're wanting a faster action, the extracts are the way to go. If you're interested in utilizing both the mycelium and the fruit body of the species, so you're getting both sides of the organism's life cycle, the extracts are definitely the way to go as well.
What a great breakdown. Thanks for breaking it down on a cost by cost basis. That's important to a lot of people. They're always trying to get the best deal and shopping around, and that's going to help a lot of people, my friend. So that's
Yeah,
just like that. When Richard and I get going, there it is, 25, 26 minutes. So where
time
can
just goes
listeners
fast.
find yeah, where can listeners find more resources or get personalized advice on choosing the right mushroom products?
Yeah, so if you go to either hostdefense.com, or we have another domain that is just fungi.com, fungi.com. Not only will you actually see the species there, but we have a whole range of blogs and information
Okay.
that deeply describes mycelium and fruit bodies, the research that we're involved with, which is something we didn't speak about today, but that is a real core focus of our company, is our research department and research laboratory that we have at our facilities that is constantly doing research on these organisms that we are producing into supplement form. So those two websites will provide you a host of detailed information about a range of the mushrooms that we work with.
And that was fungi.com and
Hostdefense.com.
hostdefense.com. Richard, thank you so much. That wraps up episode 182 here of the podcast. And I really appreciate you and the team.
You as well, Doctor. Happy holidays to you.